My testimony, I had a decent upbringing. I didn't go without. There wasn't loads of trauma and stuff, but in here, I just wasn't right. That's the easiest way to put it. I was struggling. I was searching. I had a conversation with someone before, and it was just an emptiness. But I didn't know that at the time, even from a kid. There was anger issues. I struggled to communicate with people and feel peace. I never really felt happy. I can remember that as a kid, which is quite sad. It was always like, what's wrong with me? Not really knowing that at the time. So I've gone kind of through school, and I got bullied a bit, and then I became a bully. That kind of stuff that happens, and things just spiraled, and you don't really see it at the time. I could see some young kids at the back, and my parents used to take me to church, and all I wanted to do was get out of there. So by the time I was old enough to play football, that's what I did. And church wasn't cool. I wouldn't want to tell my friends I'm going to church. My parents believe in God, and it's funny now I've ended up here. However many years later, I took the long route, but God brought me home, and I'm grateful for that. He gave me direction. He's given me a sense of purpose. I got to kind of the end of secondary school and started self-harming and stuff because I was just in a dark place. So there was a lot of hidden stuff going on. Really, people didn't know I was doing it. And then I got to like the end of secondary school, and drugs got introduced to me. I was cannabis at the time, which was just a bit of fun. I didn't really enjoy it, but it gave me a feeling that I couldn't get. It was a peaceful feeling. It was a feeling of contentment, and it was a feeling that, well, it taught me that you have to buy stuff to get these feelings. It taught me that, and even to this day, I can still go, I want to buy some trainers to feel better, or I want to buy some clothes to feel better. And what I'm learning is you just got to turn to God. So I've gone through kind of that stage. I got introduced to drugs and alcohol, and it gave me this sense of wholeness, this sense of completion, this sense of peace, which I've been searching for since a kid, really. And it finally came along, so I ran with it. I ran with it, and I didn't see where I was going at the time because everyone was doing it around me. But I was that person that I could have some and not want to stop, whereas a lot of people just enjoyed it, but they were happy with themselves as well. I wasn't happy with who I was. I didn't know who I was, and this was a path to losing myself even more. Following everyone, doing everything everyone else was doing, trying to fit in with them, and them. And I was quite good at it. I was good at pretending to be whoever you wanted me to be, not who God wanted me to be. I didn't want any of that. Next thing, I'm in a pub and had a few drinks, and someone's offering me some harder drugs. So I said no, because I was quite a high level athlete. I was quite a high level sportsman. I'm one of these that anything I do, I get like fixated on it. So that was my thing. So I was doing my sports a lot, and then I was finishing sports and going home and doing whatever else I was doing. I was living like two lives, and eventually that can't really be sustained, and the drugs and alcohol took over, and it just got worse and worse. And I was spending like, I was spending / my parents were spending / however I could get money, was spending hundreds of pounds a week on cocaine by my late teens. And then I went to uni. I dropped out of uni because I just couldn't manage everything. I still was cutting myself, harming myself quite a lot, suicide attempts, all that dark stuff. I won't go too much into it, but I ended up going to a rehab. Lasted there for about 2 days, left. That was due to a health issue, but that's kind of when I started my journey. And my parents, obviously, they believe in God, and they started to question God. What's going on? What's the point in all this? I didn't really know this. Obviously, I'm selfish. I don't care. Like, as humans, we're born selfish. We're of the flesh. We care about ourselves. And the reason we have to surrender to God and surrender our will is because He wants what's best for us and best for others. He wants us to love others like we love ourselves. And so I've gone through this rehab, and I think things just got worse and worse. And the next thing, it went from powder cocaine, which is a posh drug, to crack cocaine, because I got a hole in my nose. So instead of stopping drugs, I thought, let's just try a different one. And that took things really, really downhill really quickly. It was demonic, really. That's the only way I can describe it. Just need more and more money. There's more and more hospital visits, more and more run-ins with the police, all that kind of stuff. And And I just didn't see where it was going. I thought I was in full control of it. I thought I was in control of my life. I thought I can stop this when I want. All that delusional thinking that we have, and I would be in psychosis for weeks. I remember just like, I just get like flashbacks of coming out of this psychosis and not knowing what's going on for weeks, and what have I done, what have I said, who have I offended, and I just remember I'd always walk around the street with my head down and couldn't speak to anyone, couldn't look anyone in the eye, like this is transformation in front of you. And I started to have enough of it, but I couldn't stop it. Then I started to realise I was out of control, and I surrendered myself to dying. I was ready to die, and I was welcoming death because it was probably easier than what was going on for me. I always say, like, I didn't sit in school and the teacher said, what do you want to be when you're older? And I didn't go, I want to be a crackhead and ruin everyone's life. Do you know what I mean? That's how I looked at myself. Crackhead, you're worth nothing, you're a nuisance. You're like all the shame and the guilt and the disgust with myself. And what I was doing to my family, the people I love, the people that always stuck by me, what was I doing to them? You don't want to look someone you love in the eye and hurt them on purpose. And I guess that's what I get now with God, is conviction. I look him in the eye and what am I doing that's hurting him, and I feel convicted, and I have to look out at myself, like correct my behaviours and accept correction from God. And anyway, I got a bit sidetracked. This has got worse and worse, and I've ended up back in a rehab over in Reading. It was a Christian rehab, and they luckily have like a funding pot so people can donate to it. So people like myself who couldn't really afford a rehab can go. And I was in there for about 6 months, and that's the first time I felt peace. And the first song I remember hearing in there, and like the first Christian song that I really knew, and I felt it, was called Waymaker. You probably know it. And when I hear that song now, it still gets me emotional because it just was my story. Do you know what I mean? That's where I felt I was at that point. And I'd gone in there and I felt peace, and I was away from the world, and I didn't have to worry about anything. And I was in there for 6 months, and then I started to think, I'm all right now. I can go out, go home, see my family, see my friends, everything's good. And I came out of there, and I remember leaving. I was there for 6 months, and I remember leaving, and it was like, you sure you want to go? I was like, yeah, I need to go. And within 2 days I was using again. And I thought, what's happened? And it got dark from there. It got really dark. I was alone. I was afraid. I was like a little boy in a man's world. I was lost. And I was having up to like 8 seizures a day. The ambulance will turn up, you're going to die if you just have one more of these, you could die at any moment. I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care. Why are you telling? I know, that's what I'm trying to do. The police will come because I won't get in the ambulance. My drugs are all on the side. I'm telling the police, leave my drugs. They better be there when I get back. And they will leave them because they know what I'm going to do when I get back. If they're not there, it's going to cause havoc in my household. And they just wanted to help me, but I couldn't see it at that point. Everything was just in the way of my drugs, and I would step over anyone and everything to get my drugs. And it's from like this guy that was quite talented and had a lot of potential to this. Just the way I saw myself was a nothing, a nobody. Everyone's better off without you, etc., etc. And I had a couple of friends pass away, one at the start of my using and one at the end, and it kind of just made me look at my journey and think, why am I still alive? And I saw what my latest friend who passed away, what was happening to his family, and I didn't want that to be my family, and I think they were preparing themselves for that, sadly enough. My dad had told me it got to a point for him where he was literally driving down the road and he kind of planned this bridge he was going to drive off to kill himself, and like that's the effect I was having for no choice of his. He was completely out of control, and luckily he had a bit of hope, which is what we all, if you ain't got hope, you ain't got nothing. That's basically it, right? And the smallest bit of hope can keep you alive and turn things around. And yeah, and after my friend passed away, I thought, I've got to do something. Are you going to die, or you can change your life? And I decided to start looking for rehabs, and at this point, my dad had changed churches to another local church, and one of the leaders there kept coming around to see me, and he would come around and he would sit in my bedroom, and he would like try and speak God to me and life over me, and I was having none of it. I'm like, get, I just want my drugs. And but he kept coming back. And I appreciated it, I really did, even though I didn't feel worthy of his time. I didn't feel worthy of his effort. There was other people that are more important, more worthy of helping, of saving, etc., etc. And sometimes we can look at God like that as well, right? they're more worthy of me. Give them time, sort me out after, or come to me if you're desperate. But I think we need to realise that we all have a purpose, and we're also worthy of God's love and God's grace and God's mercy. No matter where we are in life and what we've done in life, we can get that every day for free. This guy kept coming back, and eventually, at this time, I'm looking for rehabs. And the Christian one I was in, they said, no, you're not too far gone, but you're too much. The way you're behaving and the health things that have been going on, we can't take that risk. And so I thought, oh no, all the people that are meant to be able to help me are saying they can't help me now. I'm too far gone. And I realised that's when I realised how bad it was. And I got to a point where I was desperate, held a knife to my parents for money. And it's just that thing of like, how has this got here? How has this happened? But it did. I'm not proud of it, but God has a plan, right? And I'm in it now. I hope I'm in it. I'm working on it. And I've been accepted to another Christian rehab, and I thought, right, here we go. So the man that I'm talking about that keeps turning up for me, probably was a part of me being alive. Is definitely a part of me being alive today. I think I maybe had a week or two left, but the morning after going to this other rehab, he's turned up with his wife. He said, I'll be yours at 9 o'clock, be ready to go. So maybe me, I need to use all the drugs I've got left. And the guy waited. He's a busy man. He's got a lot of businesses. He's got a lot of people that lean on him, a lot of people that he helps out. And he waited in my living room from 9 o'clock till 2 in the afternoon. Now, for me, if I'm waiting more than an hour for someone, I'm like, this ain't happening. But he knew if he didn't come and get me, I wouldn't have got in my parents' car. So he waited with his wife for like, what's that, however many hours that is. And again, I think that's something we can all look at is, God doesn't put a time limit on things. God's always going to be there and available when you call on him. And this man was living in the image of God, right? That's what we're all called to do. Live in the image of God. What's the word? Like, show God's characteristics. And I believe that's what this man did. And this is what this man submits his will to God, and whatever God wants him to do, he will do. And I use him as like one of my benchmarks. Like, not what would he do, but do you know what I mean? Like, how is he obedient to God? Because that's what I need to do. So they took me to rehab, and he told me it's an Indian couple, and he said when I got in the car, he said to his wife in Punjab, he said, lock the doors and put your foot down, because he was convinced that I was going to jump out the car. And I got to this rehab, and I remember going in, and they said no cigarettes, no energy drinks. So I'm literally going from smoking drugs all day, every day, like £2,000 worth a week. By the end of it was ridiculous. To no drugs, no cigarettes. I'm sweating it out, and I just couldn't get on with the place. And they did their best, and I wouldn't say I did my best, but I wasn't in a good place. I was quite volatile, and eventually I kind of left. I left after a few days, and they said, if you're going to go now. And they put me out. And I remember like there was a main road outside the rehab. I didn't know the area. I was up in the East Midlands, and I remember just standing on. It was raining. I was in shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt. They said, send someone to get your bags when you're ready. And I remember just standing on the edge of this road, like waiting for a lorry. No lorries coming. No lorries coming. And I said earlier, I used to walk around like this all the time. And I remember for some reason I just looked up, so here obviously I started praying again. I'd given my life to God in this rehab. I made that choice. That was the good thing that came out of it. And I kind of accepted Christ into my life, and obviously I'm expecting a switch, and it didn't happen like that. But I've made that choice, and I know that I want to do better. And I know I'm done with the drugs, and I know I'm done with using, and I know I am useless at this lifestyle, so I need help. So I've come out this rehab, and I looked up here, and there was just a cross. It was probably about a mile away, and yeah, I just thought, go to it, just follow it. Didn't know where I was. I just found my way through these roads, no phone or nothing, and just went through this estate. There's people using, drinking. I thought, no, not me this time. And I went to this cross, and it's a big Anglican church, and I knocked the door. No one came up, and I thought, oh, typical. And then old woman just popped her head out the side and said, can I help you? And I was obviously a bit of a mess back then. And I just explained what happened, and I started crying. And I was just like sobbing. She just took me in. Again, it's another person of God. And things could have been different if she said, sorry, I can't help you. They could have been very different. I might not be standing here, I wouldn't be standing here. And she took me in and she prayed with me and got the rector and the curate. She got the curate over and they was praying for me. And all this time there's a wedding rehearsal going on at the front, but they still took their time to come and sit with me. They called my parents came and got me, and instead of going home to where I'm from, I came down here because I had some family down this way. And they took me in and let me stay there for a bit, and my journey kind of started there in recovery. And I tried a church, and that church wasn't for me. And I was alright with that, but I was doing the right thing and I was turning up, and I was starting to realise that hope can kind of manifest, and God will manifest himself if you search for him. But he's not just going to come to me. And I always think about when the Red Sea got parted, it wasn't, he didn't move it away. It wasn't easy. It wasn't like he just took this big problem and moved it. God just made a way through it. And I think that's something I always, even today, I have to remind myself that there will be trials, but God will make a way through, and it's that song again, Waymaker. And yeah, I've come down here and then I found a church that I'm still in now, and I've had some things go on in my recovery. I'm just over 4 years clean and sober from drugs and alcohol now. God willing, it will remain that way, but things change and I have to catch up and realise how to live in this world. I was still a little boy when I started using, but I was like 28 years old now. So obviously I had my ups and downs, but I had people that spent time with me, discipled me, guided me, and had faith in me, if that makes sense. So they knew what God could do in me, they saw what God could do in me, and they kept on pushing me and giving me opportunities and stuff. And the first kind of year and a half, I just focused on staying clean, staying sober, and figuring out what life's about. I was in sober living, and then I started volunteering for a local drug and alcohol charity, and I was doing a couple of days a week there. Within within a year of working, I've gone from a volunteer to a manager of charities that are looking after people's lives. I've got a couple of my colleagues here today, and the stuff that we hear and we see and we deal with every day is dark, is of the world. I now work back locally. I work for, I'm a team manager of a young person drug and alcohol service. So we work with 8-year-olds to 29-year-olds, and there's a lot of dark stuff in this world, and we hear every day, but this is where I need my faith, and I'm doing this, but recently, I think, just to show the difference. So I went out, my second time, I went on a mission trip to Uganda, about, when did I go? End of July, start of August, I think we got back. It weren't too long ago anyway. And we got there was only 4 of us. So I went last year, there was about 16 of us, 14 of us. I did a little bit of my testimony, a bit like this, and that was enough for me. And I just kind of got to know the ropes, got to meet some people out there. And this year, I wasn't going to go. I was thinking, money's a bit tight, everything's costing more. Just go again next year maybe when the big one is. And my pastor, he was having none of it. He was like, come on, you're going. I was like, I'll think about it. He was like, no, come on, you're going. I don't know what, all right, I'm going. So that's that obedience stuff, and we got out there, and we got there on, I think, the Friday night, jumped in, stayed in a hotel near the airport, and then we travelled Saturday all day, got to the hotel, put our heads down, church the next morning, and first thing, so he'd asked me to preach a few times while I was out there, so had a couple of things ready, and we've got there, and we've done church the first morning, come back to the hotel. About 4 o'clock that night, the next thing I just see the pastor coming around the corner, like in agony, limping. What's happened here? And he's broke his ankle and his foot on the first night or second night that we're there. So he's out of action. So that's meant, like, again, for me not wanting to go, God's gone, you're going, you're stepping up, and I've had to obviously cover a lot of what he had planned. So from just planning on going there and doing a couple of little things and being in the background, God said, no, you're going to step forward and you're going to preach. And by the time so I'm preparing things when I'm out there and meeting people and being trusted, and I've had to look after the money. Bear in mind, I'm taking all this money a couple of years ago, look after the money and all that, do you know what I mean? And this is that transformation. I think it's a good illustration of what God can do, and He can move mountains and put you in positions and places that you never imagined. And I think, again, it's just that saying yes thing. And every day we still have battles, and we still have things that weigh heavy on our hearts, and times of doubt and times of struggle. But when you look at the life as a whole, and we think we're in control of it. I read the other day about we think we're going to make these plans to go here or there or there, and we could be dead tomorrow. We don't know. We just have to trust that God's going to do what He wants for us, and we have to roll with it. And I don't really know where to go with this anymore, but it's the transformation I think I'm trying to show, that renewing power, that transforming of the mind. My dad, throughout them years, he told me he said a prayer every day, and I can't remember exactly, it's on my phone down there, but it's something like, Lord, don't take him from me, transform him by the renewing of his mind. So it was only like 3 lines, but he would say it every day faithfully, and his prayer got answered, you know what I mean? And I'm standing here and trying to do my best by God, and I think even though I don't really like being up here, who am I to say no? Who am I to say no? There might be someone in here that needs to hear.